there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is, whenever it is in your part of the world. Thank you for tuning in. This is episode 11, part 1 of the Let's Make Some Noise series. We are nearing the end of the series, and it's a little bittersweet over here. We've demoed an obscene, absurd amount of pedals in a relatively short period of time. It's been a lot of work. It's really been a journey. Today, we've got a familiar crew, some great musicians, great friends of mine. Brunson on guitar. Tim Marchand will be back later on in the episode to bring his talent to the episode as well. We've got Alex Alfortish with his variety of fun tools. We've got John Madere on some synths and also some really cool tools today. And then we have Taylor Matherne, returning bassist of the series. Really lucky to have these guys. If you've been following this series so far, perhaps you've already walked away with some of the gear that we've explored. And if so, I really hope that it's bringing you joy and bringing you inspiration and you're making some of your own music out there. Of course, thank you to all the builders and everyone who's helped and lent a hand in this series so far. We've been working really hard. Got an awesome lineup of pedals today. And I say that every week, but I really mean it. Just to name a few, we are going to explore some of the heavyweight multi-effects, the Microcosm and the Habit today. But I think you're really going to enjoy today's episode. If you're ready, I'm ready. Perfect. All right. We're actually going to kick off today with the Hologram Electronics Microcosm. I'm sure if you are watching this series, you're probably enough of a pedal nerd to know what this pedal is. When it came out in 2020, I was able to get my hands on one, and I did an unofficial demo, and was really blown away by this pedal. I still think it is one of the coolest pedals ever made. It does so much. It does so much, but it doesn't take a brain surgeon to wrap your head around as well, which is really part of the attraction. You know, on the front face of the pedal, you've got the 8 primary knobs, and then you've got a mode selection knob here as well. Not only is it a multi-effect, it's a granular delay with 11 different modes, but it's also a phrase looper with up to 60 seconds of recording time. And you can use the effects on the loop as well. So that makes it extremely applicable to ambient music, soundscape building, soundtrack making, anything that you want. Now, this can be a very wet ambient pedal, but the space knob, which is what applies the reverb, can also be dialed out of it. So you can also just get real glitchy and chop things up. I really couldn't cover it all if I tried to explain it all. But we're going to give you a brief view into 4 of the modes, and we'll explore the phrase looping as well. So let's start off with mosaic mode. So I've got the space, which is the reverb control, dialed pretty high with some long decay. And instantly you can hear just how amazing of an ambient tool this is. Let's try haze mode. I'm going to dial some of the reverb out so we can really hear what this mode is doing. The master filter control lets you do filter sweeps in any mode, which is awesome. You can control that with an expression controller as well as any of the other parameters that you want. Let's try warp mode. Here's blocks mode, which is in the glitch subcategory. Granular delays and wild effects like this is to expect the unexpected. Let's dig into the phrase looper, and we're just going to make a small, roughly 2-bar phrase and then see what we can do once we get it looping. All right, so once you're in phrase loop mode, I can use this bottom right foot switch to start the recording. You know, the layout is very typical of modern loop pedals. It's very familiar to those who've worked with loop pedals before. All right, let's dial in some of the mix. Again, I love that you can throw reverb onto any of the modes. And we are still in blocks mode. Let's check out Mosaic again. That is one of my favorites. Filter just sounds so good. I almost don't even want to touch it anymore. That just sounds so incredible. So as you can see, without even going deep into everything this pedal can do, It's so easy to just create wonderful, ambient, beautiful sounds. Not to mention, you've got MIDI in and out. You've got expression capabilities, stereo in and out. It just really is an extremely well thought out, forward-thinking device. All right, moving on. We have the lovely Mile End Effects Julep, which is a lovely vintage voice optical phaser. And what makes this pedal unique is that it is true stereo in, true stereo out. You've got a left channel for phasing and a right. You can engage both phasers at the same time, synchronize them, have them alternate back and forth with different phasing speeds. You can control the depth of the right and the left. And you also have different waveform selections. It's pretty versatile and just sounds really warm and lush and lovely. We like it a lot. Let's just engage both channels here, and we have them in separate mode so you can hear fast phasing on one side and slow on the other. That's just lovely. Let's slow both of them down, slightly different rates. Just for some slow syrupy phasing goodness. Here's the depth, fully dimed. The waveform knob starts with the triangle wave all the way counterclockwise, and then all the way clockwise we have a square, and then you've got everything in between, which basically is going to be going from a soft wave to a more harsh one. Let's send it all square wave. We're going to sync the two tremolos up, and we're going to hear tremolo effect here. Alright, let's get a softer tremolo sound here. Triangle wave. Alright, let's dial the depth back a little bit with them synchronized. Here's your more classic slow phaser. Back to separate mode. Really, no matter what you do with this pedal, it's hard to make it sound bad. And phasers being one of my favorite effects, I really love having the tweakability over the left side and the right side of the stereo field. Very cool pedal. All right, our first gain dirt offering for the night, the Apex Distortion from Wonderful Audio Technology. We were lucky enough to get their Ancient Echoes delay / reverb earlier in the series, and was excited when Ralph said he wanted to send this over as well. The Apex is Ralph's take on a distortion based off of the LM308 chip, but as he explains it, he wanted to take the Rat in another direction, and so there's a JFET buffer on the front end, as well as a variety of diodes and LED clipping combined to create a really interesting, smooth distortion character that is a little punchier than your traditional rat sound. Got a standard high-cut filter, so you can dial your tone in, and there's a wide range of gain on it. We're going to start off with it a little bit on the low gain side, and we'll work our way up. As you can hear, it's nice and thick. Gains up quickly. Gain all the way down. Just got a really nice light sparkle to it. I find the gain, even midway up, is enough gain for my tastes. But it goes further beyond that. So you could absolutely play some Megadeth riffs on this. Sounds nice. All right, one of my favorite pedal builders on the scene right now for dirt is Mask Audio Electronics, and we have the Black Math Fuzz, which is a muff style fuzz and inspired by the NYC early 2000s reissue muffs, which had a little bit more of a compressed, scooped sound. Alec added in an op-amp boost in front of the muff so you can get extremely saturated. This pedal is like hilariously high gain. So it's really all about where you choose to dial it in, okay? You also have a toggle here for removing the diode if you want to get a more open, less compressed sound that's even louder. Let's click it on and just hear it gained up with the boost lower. It's already very muffy, you can hear. And in traditional muff fashion, you can turn the tone to the right, trebly, saw-like fuzz, or you can turn it back for more woolly muff sounds. All right, let's boost the front end a little bit. You can hear it. Extremely compressed, explosive sound here. The attack of some of your notes is even kind of lost. You feel just this heavy push down in. Let's turn that boost all the way up. I'm going to back off and find a sweet spot here. Let's disengage the diode. We're going to attenuate the volume to help. As you can hear, there's a pretty huge variety of sounds in this pedal. I think with the diodes removed, it sounds better with the boost rolled back. That's just a whole nother sound in and of itself. Now let's hear it full gain, boost rolled back, diodes reintroduced. I think there's a sweet spot on the gain as well, about 75%. Where you start getting more of your sustain and clarity back. Pedal is an absolute monster. Tons of low end still here. All right, next for the night, we have the Collision Devices Nocturnal. We had their black hole symmetry pedal earlier in the series, and there's a similar motif on this design where you have 3 effects on 3 sections of the pedal that you can combine or use independently. Both pedals are geared towards ambience, but with this one being a little bit different, you're not going to be going for that hugely saturated sound. This is more about dreamy ambience, and there's a lot that you can do with it. You've got a modulated delay portion, a dynamic tremolo that responds to the sensitivity of your attack, and then you have a shimmer reverb that you can also take the octave up out of. Let's start with the modulated delay, and then we're going to stack some layers on and hear what we can make of all 3. You've got all your standard controls for feedback, which is, always repeats. Your wet to dry ratio, your time, your modulation depth, and your modulation speed. So we've got the modulation pretty light, but it's definitely certainly present. We can get really seasick with it if we want. Very haunting. Let's dial the modulation back a little bit. We're going to engage the reverb with the octave up. Now we have a fully 100% wet blend here. Let's dial that back and hear a little bit of the dry. There's a color knob for your tone, and then there's a filter control as well. It's really fun to sweep. Let's engage the tremolo. You can set a sensitivity point and the depth of the tremolo. Let's go a little bit more wet on the reverb. I'm going to add some faster modulation in there. brighten it all up. It's an absolutely haunting device. Immediately very usable and immediately gratifying. All right, moving on, we have the What the Fuzz from Weird Noise Effects, and we had their Fuzz It far earlier in the season and really enjoyed the simplicity of that one knob fuzz. It just sounded fantastic. This pedal's fairly simplistic as well. You've got What the Fuzz, WTF, right? The What knob is your volume, the is your tone, and your fuzz, you would think, is a gain control, but alas, it's actually more of a textural control. To the right, you're going to get thicker, slightly less gated sounds, and then to the left, you get extremely gated sounds. There's also a toggle switch which opens up the fuzz and takes away the gate, making it extremely versatile for any kind of application that you want. Let's click it on in gated mode with the fuzz knob to the right and hear it. Love the texture on that. Turn the fuzz knob to the left. It's a lot more starved. With lead work like this, fast playing, you really hear the precision and the detail of every note, the attack of every note. All right, let's take it out of gated mode and open it up. So you really hear this fuzz come to life now. This is with the fuzz knob to the right. See what happens when we turn that to the other side. Sounds to me like we're more into gritty overdrive territory. Wow, that's a lot of versatility. I'm really not even working hard to dial in these sounds. That's awesome. All right. We are checking out the Fjord Fuzz Freia. Funny enough, we actually did film some content with this pedal back in episode 6 and had a little snafu and we lost the audio for that. So we're visiting it again, but we wanted to try something a little bit different. It's essentially a preamp. They took it from their Freia Univibe circuit and applied it into this pedal and gave you essentially a bias control and a gain and a volume. And preamps can be handy for all sorts of things. Besides getting just blown out fuzz sounds on the guitar, you can run drum machines, you can run synthesizers, anything you want. So we've got a cool little tune here that we just want to show how much body and warmth you can add with the preamp and really get things blown out if you want to as well. Let's hear it, Alex. already we can hear this beefing up the signal. Let's turn it off. You can hear our original signal back on. We're going to adjust the volume as we turn that bias control up. Now I'm going to pull back on the gain. Let's gain it up. All right, we have another one of my favorite builders here, Ground Effects, with one of their earlier designs, the Burning Sun, which is a replica of the preamp from the legendary Model T amp. There are 2 channels on this, normal and bright, and you have a master volume and a full tone stack, treble, middle, and bass. This pedal pairs really nicely with other dirt. We're just going to play it into a dirty silk tone amp here. And you can use this for many things, bass, guitar. It just is a fantastic preamp all around. Let's hear it dialed up on the normal channel first with the bright channel turned down. Let's hear it mid-scooped. Some garage rock tones. Let's balance it out. Dial some of that gain back. It's actually not a super high gain pedal, but again, we're playing into a dirty amp and it's really pushing those tubes. Let's hear the bright channel. Now I'm going to stack them. An ideal application for this is absolutely heavy, compressed doom distortion. You can find any blend you want in between the normal and bright channels. Kind of dial in your sound. I really like it right here. Less of the bright channel, more of the normal. Oh yeah. All right, moving on, we have the Alexander Pedals Fever Pitch, an entirely digital, extremely powerful 4-voice polyphonic pitch shifter that can do loads of really interesting things on top of just pitch shifting. There are 8 presets on board that you can save, and you can access more via MIDI. You can do the standard kind of octave down, octave up pitch shifting that you could do with a basic POG. Absolutely, and you could save your simple presets for those simple things and flip a preset to something completely bombastic like 2 octaves down, 2 octaves up, and another octave up, all blended together for organ-like sounds. And then you can have delay or reverb, which you can pan back and forth between. You got your standard controls for both of those, a lot of tweakability, tremolo, chorus, vibrato, all of these things that you can dial in. Let's throw on a preset that I have here that I called Lo-Fi Organ, but then we'll just kind of explore a lot of the versatility of this pedal. Right now I have delay engaged on this, but when you press the left button here, you can swap that to reverb very easily. Let's hear some tremolo in one of these moments. There's a tremolo with vibrato and reverb on top of that. You can also ramp parameters and save ramping in real time on any of your presets, like this preset that I made called Pitch Trip. Which totally negates you having to be a good guitarist or instrumentalist, because it doesn't really matter what note you hit. You're just going to get really interesting, trippy bends. You can also use this pedal without the pitch effects at all. I'm going to swap to a preset that I made called Indie Dream. Love the chorus effect. And yes, this pedal is full stereo, and you have independent controls over the panning of all 4 voices. Pitch-bending, mind-melting tool, especially when you start to pair this with other pedals. Of course, along with most of Alexander Pedals' devices, you've got USB updatability, compatibility, a multi-port for expression control of any of your parameters, or multiple parameters, which is really awesome. You can also bypass the multi-foot switch if you don't feel like using an expression pedal, and you can ramp parameters with the bottom left foot switch. It's incredibly well thought out, extremely interesting pitch device. All right. I'm very excited to introduce the brass fuzz from the builder Noise Space Audio in Kiev, Ukraine. At the time that they sent this and their silicone version of this pedal, they were still under invasion. I'm not sure what's going to be going on at the time that we publish this episode, but on the back of this pedal, it actually says proudly made in Ukraine on the 200th day of the Russian invasion. This is their nod of the head to the Brassmaster fuzz, and I believe that they took the circuit, got a hold of a Moleco Bassmaster, and did their own thing with it. It's really interesting, works really well on bass, so we're going to apply that here. It's essentially a very octave up style fuzz, but you've got a clean blend, you've got the brass knob, which is a filter toggle, and you've got an input gain with the drive control, and then harm mode. I'm not exactly sure what it's doing to the circuit, but it gets super buzzy, really interesting. I have a little bit of the clean dialed in, which is always awesome for bass guitar. Let's just hear what the pedal sounds like, kind of at mid-gain. That immediately gave me stank face. And some bass players might want to keep more bottom end, so here you go. Let's find a happy medium there. And I find this pedal sounds best with the drive at full. Let's engage that filter. Immediately some more garage rock tones there. Flipping the harm switch up is going to give you a volume reduction, but it's a different sound. Some people might call that kind of a radio fuzz, very vintagey sounding. Obviously it's like a mega bandpass filter has been applied on here. I'm going to flip the brass knob back up and style some clean into this. Alright, let's get out of harm mode. I'm going to roll the input gain down. So we actually get into more of like a overdrive territory there. And when the input gain or the drive knob is up, we get that stickier, tighter fuzz sound. In case I didn't mention before, this is the Brass Fuzz Germanium. We're gonna check out the silicone version on the next episode. Yet another entry from Ground Effects today. The Grayskull, which was their take on the EQD Life pedal, based off of the Rat circuit with an additional gain stage and a clean blend. This pedal has a little something different to offer. Instead of an octave up, you have a digital polyphonic octave down that you can engage, either independently or with your distortions. Very cool. You can control this with an expression pedal or with the right foot switch. And you can blend how much of that octave that you want in. And just having that polyphony available is really, really interesting and super useful for the doom genre specifically, but it's all sorts of things that you can apply this to. Let's hear just the gain side of the pedal without the octave. Can't deny that. With the active clean blend, We can introduce some clean into the signal, which I prefer to use more on bass guitar than with guitar. And the gain is actually somewhat rolled back. All right, let's hear that sub-octave though. You're going to hear less interruption and better tracking with the second gain stage dialed back a little bit. All right, let's hear the sub-octave independent. Back in one more time. I had the pre-gain rolled back there. That whole time I had the sub blend fully wet, and you could hear things getting really glitchy. But here you can hear it with it blended back. It tracks a little bit better. Significantly better. And here's no clean, fully wet. Oh, my monitor must have died. All right. We've been waiting for this one. The Chase Bliss Habit. A little bit of a daunting pedal, but there are many pedals that are out there nowadays that once you sink a little bit of time just to kind of learn the ins and the outs, they're extremely rewarding, and the Habit is absolutely one of those. I'd say even compared to the Mood, because you know, it really begs comparison. A lot of people ask right out of the gate, what's the difference between the Mood and this? Is that I think this pedal is a little bit more even immediately accessible. Now, that's just my hot take on it. I haven't spent a ton of time with it yet. We're really just getting to learn it, and I think you could spend a month with this pedal and still be discovering new ways to implement it and explore it. It's the pedal that just kind of gives and gives and gives. You can do basic delay controls. What is it? It's a very fun experimental delay that has 3 minutes of digital tape that's always continuously recording. Don't worry, if you hit a bad note, you can reset and dump the cache by bypassing the pedal. That's pretty cool. You have typical delay controls at the top, so that's a really good way to familiarize yourself right at first. Your level is basically the volume of the went signal. You've got your repeats, and your size is essentially your delay time. But then you look down and you've got the spread and the scan controls, which are very interactive with each other and have a lot to do with the secondary delay, the recorded. Then you've got your multiple modifiers down here, which if you have ever played a blooper, you might be familiar with. So you've got bank A and bank B of modifiers, and some of them are very familiar. Again, if you've played a blooper, step speed, smooth, the trimmer, things of that nature. We're not going to go through all 6 modifiers because there's no way we really could cover this entire pedal in a short burst demo like this, but we can get some cool sounds out of it. This is about one of the most normal sounds you'll get out of the habit. We've got the spread control, which is that secondary delay turned down. Now, as we turn spread and scan up, we start hearing the recorded sounds come in, secondary delay. Scan can be set to manual or automatic, and it's going to affect which portion of what you played previously is going to come back and make a return. Right now we have no modifiers engaged, and we are also in what's called the out mode, which I think is the most consistent, predictable mode of the habit. Let's check out stepped speed. Counterclockwise is reverse. Clockwise is forward. In this mode, it's designed to stay in key, no matter where you're at. It's extremely handy and very agreeable. Let's try the trimmer modifier. This is going to cut off a portion of your echoes. Also got tap tempo down here. Let's try some longer repeats. Yeah, and things are getting really weird. Try in mode where the modifiers are accumulated. Maybe the smooth speed modifier where you can change the pitch. Tame this back by lowering the repeats. And in feed mode, the habit's output is going to be routed back to its input. You can hold down the bypass and freeze the current sound. Now, of course, you can totally take advantage of the onboard presets, find some sounds that you like, and store them. So you can come back and revisit them. And of course, via MIDI, you can store a lot more. Plugging in an expression controller and sweeping through some of these parameters like the modify knob, you could really get some wild extreme sounds. Not that these aren't already. But the wonderful thing about this pedal is just how musical it all remains. Alright, we'll take those modifiers off. Get out of feed mode here. Get back to some familiar territory. Holding both the bypass and the tap foot switch at the same time, you can clear the cache. Obviously, very handy. So much more that this pedal can do. This is really just our first impression, but it's a wonderful, gorgeous sound creation device. It's definitely one for the record books. Absolutely unforgettable pedal, and I really look forward to exploring it more.